Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to All New Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, here on 92.7 FM. It's Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me this evening. And I have a pressing conversation, a pressing topic. Not necessarily the national title game, which is coming up on Monday, in large part because I get to talk to you before the game on Monday. So I don't know. We've talked about as much of this as we can probably talk about, but I do want to talk about the prospect of President Trump possibly going to the game and what that all means ramifications-wise. But before we even get to that point, here's something that has been on my mind since last year, essentially, which is this. Somehow, we have entered a world where football is a 365-day-a-year sport. It's a sport that we pay attention to 365 days a year, both college and pro, and quite frankly, we're getting to the point where we just follow high school recruits too. Like, you can follow high school recruits on Twitter. Now, I have problems with doing that in large part because it's just weird. I'm a 27-year-old. What am I doing following a 17-year-old on Twitter? I know that my reasons are purely football-based, but it's just odd to me. It's just a very odd place to be. I don't want to be doing that. That seems weird. But people do that. Like, I know very respected journalists and reporters that do that. And I'm not going to tell you how to live life. I'm telling you, you're weirdos too. So, my point is, this is a 360, I digress. This is a 365-day-a-year business. And in this business, we have made it so much more about just the games on the field, as you would have to naturally. And we talk about the draft, and we talk about the combine, and we talk about the free agency period, and we talk about all these other things. But one thing that has been increasingly talked about in a way that we don't typically talk about it in football is the Hall of Fame. Because the Hall of Fame is more, I don't want to say it's exclusively a baseball thing, but it is more important in baseball to make the Hall of Fame than it is in football, because it is more important in baseball to make the Hall of Fame, period, right? Like, baseball is such a numbers-driven sport that all the records in baseball matter, and the Hall of Fame matters more, right? To the point where if we perceive cheating in baseball, you can't get in, right? Like, you just can't. Like, where I have serious questions about Mark McGwire and Barry Bonds. Now, to me, I think those guys ought to be in. I think the whole sport was juicing in that time period, not just them. They just got caught. I think you let Clemens in. I think you let McGwire in. I think you let Bonds in. And not pretend and have your head in the sand like nobody in that era was juicing, and it was just them that got caught. I mean, it's wild to me. So yeah, anyway, like that's where it is with baseball, where like if we perceive cheating, you can't get in, right? Like, Pete Rose gambled on baseball games that he was the coach of. I imagine Pete Rose always bet on himself. I don't think that Pete Rose was tanking games on purpose. And Pete Rose had a gambling problem. He gambled on baseball, right? And for that reason, Pete Rose can't make it into the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose, who was so dominant and great as a player, right? Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose, he can't get in because that's how important it is, the Hall of Fame, to baseball. And I've seen football have growing importance in its Hall of Fame throughout the years, but certainly not to the extent that it is at now. And so now, like, the Hall of Fame matters. We have this Hall of Fame conversation. I don't think records are as big in football as they are in baseball, but they matter. I mean, they're there. They're there. My issue with all of this is this. How is it possible, since we're having Hall of Fame conversations all the time, how is it possible that Terrell Owens is not in the Hall of Fame? This is not the conversation of should he be in the Hall of Fame. The answer to that question is yes. Why is Terrell Owens not already in the Hall of Fame? He was eligible last year. Statistically, that guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. You can see he's second of all the people to ever play receiver. He is second of all time in receiving yards, and he is third in receiving touchdowns. And the people ahead of him on those are almost all in the Hall of Fame.
Right, Jerry Rice. Who's ahead of him in touchdowns?
Jerry Rice and Randy Moss.
And Randy Moss, which
who's also coming up for eligibility this year.
And we'll get to Randy Moss in a second, because there's ramifications to this thing. We'll get to this is making me upset. We'll get to Randy Moss in a half second. But okay. So Terrell Owens, and not only is he, by the way, not only is he third in receiving touchdowns, Terrell Owens is 5th in touchdowns, regardless of position. He's 5th behind Randy Moss, LaDainian Tomlinson, Emmitt Smith, and Jerry Rice.
Like, in a lot of these lists, not only are people who are ahead of him either already in or going to be in, some of these lists have people who are like a spot or two behind him who are already in or are going to be in. Like, in yards, the person directly behind him is Larry Fitzgerald. He's going in first.
He's going in, and there's no question, right? Like, okay, so here's the top 10 in total touchdowns scored ever. Regardless of position. Jerry Rice is number 1. Emmitt Smith, LaDainian Tomlinson, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Marcus Allen, Marshall Faulk, Chris Carter, Marvin Harrison, Jim Brown. Okay? So let's tally up the number of this top 10 that is in the Hall of Fame or going into the Hall of Fame. Jerry Rice, in. Emmitt Smith, in. LaDainian Tomlinson, in. Randy Moss, ought to be in. Terrell Owens, ought to be in. Marcus Allen is in. Marshall Faulk is in. Chris Carter is in. Marvin Harrison will be in. Jim Brown is in. All right, if you want to just drop one down lower, 11. Walter Payton is in. Okay, so we're talking about like the top 10, 11 guys in touchdowns scored, because that is mainly how you help your team in this sport.
I can give you some like receiver names. Obviously, Jerry Rice, Chris Carter, Marvin Harrison, Steve Largent, Don Hudson, Don Maynard, Andre Reed, Lance Allworth, Paul Warfield, Tommy McDonald. All of those people are in, and some of them have almost just over half the touchdowns that Terrell Owens has.
How is it possible that he's not obviously in? This is insanity. This is absolute insanity. And I want to know, and I don't know who I have to talk to, but I want to know, how is it possible that Terrell Owens is in? Is Terrell Owens being punished for being arrogant? Because if that's what the case is, I should point out very specifically, that's not what the Hall of Fame is for. This makes me mad, because this is the thing that keeps people out of the Hall of Fame, right? Like when a guy is on the cusp of being on the Hall of Fame, and the one thing that I hear from uppity, snooty Hall of Fame writers is, well, this isn't the Hall of Fame. This isn't the Hall of Very Good. It's the Hall of Fame. He didn't do this to impress me. And here's Terrell Owens, whose resume beyond speaks for itself. That if you had a guy who was second and third in every statistical category in any other sport, it would be a crime. It would be a crime that guy's not in the Hall of Fame. How is this possible? Like, he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's already egregious. If he doesn't get in this year, I mean, the Hall of Fame means nothing, right? Like, the Hall of Fame has to mean something in two directions. In one direction, you can't let anybody in. It can't be just anybody, right? Everybody doesn't just get to be in the Hall of Fame. There's a specific group of players, a specific class of athlete. They were better. They were more dominant. They were more competitive. They have better numbers than everybody else, and we saw them be able to take over games. Terrell Owens is all of that. You got to let him in. And it works in the other direction. If the Hall of Fame does not let in people who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, it is equally as pointless as if you let everyone in. This make-believe criteria of, well, he was a locker room cancer, and he went to a Super Bowl. He went to a Super Bowl in which he was the best player on that team. I remember that Super Bowl. Donovan McNabb forgot to show up to that game. I can't remember any of the other Eagles in that game. They all vanished. Terrell Owens is there playing, what was it, 2 weeks after destroying his leg? The horse collar tackle rule was created around Terrell Owens because he got horse collar tackled and destroyed his leg. And he was sleeping in a hyperbolic chamber so that he could try and expedite his recovery and all of this stuff that he was doing in order to play in the Super Bowl. And 2 weeks after destroying his leg, he's the best player in the Super Bowl on his team. I argue he's the best player in the Super Bowl, period. And Brady was on the other side. It's insane. It is insane. criteria for being in the Hall of Fame if that guy can't get in?
I have no idea. And this is the dude who, like, some of the people on, like, reception yards are, like, people who have made their game, their bread and butter in, like, the middle range game, sort of always being able to just be open there. But this was a man who could take the top off of any defense, who, while being third in touchdowns and second in receiving yards, isn't even on the top 20 in the number of catches, because that is just how good he was.
Is it the bad teammate thing?
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. I'll give you a list of people in the Hall of Fame who are bad teammates. Joe Namath was a bad teammate. Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the Hall of Fame, and Aaron Rodgers has had the rumors about being a bad teammate just swirling around him.
They followed him since college.
There are John Riggins. John Riggins played for the Redskins. That guy was considered a bad teammate. Not by his teammates. I will allow that. I will grant that. But outside the locker room, John Riggins was seen as this sort of weirdo outside guy that couldn't get along with people. Right? I mean, look, man, this is not about his personality, right? And I got into an argument with my brother over this, too, when Cam Newton was up to win the Heisman Trophy his last year at Auburn. And I got into an argument about my brother with this because my brother was like, well, he may have taken money to play at Auburn. And, you know, there were all the rumors surrounding Cam and his dad and whether or not they took money under the table to play at Auburn. And any of those things may or may not be true. I'm not going to sit here and try and figure out, you know, what I allege to be true and what's not. But I will say this. Heisman Trophy's not about that. No, it's about being an outstanding athlete. And you cannot make an argument that the most outstanding athlete the year that Cam won the Heisman was Cam. Right? Like, was it 2010?
I believe so, yes.
Cam, that was Cam. Cam was the most outstanding athlete. Period. That year. I mean, it wasn't even close. If you want to turn this thing into a personality contest and into a popularity contest, okay, you're going to turn this into what the NBA All-Star Game is, which is essentially a joke. We're watching an NBA All-Star Game where a situation has developed where last year, what's his name makes it into the Zaza Pachulia makes it to the All-Star Game. Like, what? Are you serious? Or almost made it in, which was too close for comfort anyway, right? And a lot of that is fan voting, but fans vote on personality and fans vote on popularity, and the Warriors are popular. And Zaza Pachulia comes off as a pretty friendly guy. So, yeah, you vote for Zaza Pachulia multiple times. And I'm going, how's this any different than what they're doing in the Hall of Fame if he's not a nice guy is a reason to keep him out of the Hall of Fame? That I have always been told, and I'm discovering that this is actually true less and less and less, that football is a meritocracy. That football is the game that you can do. If you're a good person, that doesn't really matter if you're talented, right? That it's about the talent level. And here's a guy that has displayed a level of talent such that he is the third highest scoring receiver and second most in receiving yards and can't get in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot? Are you out of your mind?
And it's only going to, like, compound if we just continue to see this happen as, like, we let in, like, a Larry Fitzgerald, we let in a Steve Smith, an Antonio Brown, 3 names that deserve to be there, but who have done objectively less than Terrell Owens.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is.
And, of course, here's the part that ties in to Randy Moss, who is also going to be going up for eligibility. This will be, I believe, his first year. And
he's got the same baggage.
Yes. And not only that, it's going to be the fact that while Terrell Owens, with all his skill, hasn't been put in, then people will argue that Randy Moss shouldn't be in because he wasn't as good as Terrell Owens, even though he's always like one below or sometimes one above Terrell Owens on lists where the only person above either of them is Jerry Rice. But now the unfair judgment that's been keeping Terrell Owens out to keep Moss out as well.
And that to me is, I find that alarming. Like, you would have to really stretch it for that. But also, and I'll say this because this could have ramifications down the road for Cam. Not that I'm saying that Cam is a Hall of Famer, but Cam is I mean, Cam is on pace. Like in terms of the way that he plays, the fact that he carries his team, the fact that he's doing it with his legs, which in a way that no other quarterback has ever done that before, and that Cam is capable of winning a Super Bowl this year. Cam got his team to a Super Bowl before. Cam is capable of winning a Super Bowl this year. Cam is capable of going to many, many more Super Bowls than just this one. And if Cam wins one, does Cam not get to be in it because Cam is seen as the guy that can be emotional and can be whiny and can be pouty, and he said some things that are particularly sexist? Like, where do we draw the line on what keeps you out of the Hall of Fame? Because I always thought that the Hall of Fame was supposed to be some kind of place where the best athletes, the best players, and we recognize their greatness. That's what it is. You get a gold jacket because of how good you play football.
Yeah, I can see like the same sort of situation happening maybe in like 10 years with Odell Beckham.
Hey, look, we're building it up because Odell Beckham Jr. is interesting because he is millennial Terrell Owens. Like, Terrell Owens did not have and did not grow up with social media. That's the only reason why he's not Odell, the ODB. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the only difference between Terrell Owens and Odell Beckham Jr. is when they were born. The personality is like the same personality. It's very me-centric. It's very me, look at me. But should that matter? Like, why does any of that matter? Like, what is it about people that they feel they need to just police adults? Like, that guy needs to be more humble. That guy needs to be more calm. I mean, that guy needs to be like Derrick Henry. You see Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry's quiet. Derrick Henry keeps to himself, but I like Derrick Henry. But that's because that's Derrick Henry actually is. I don't want your phoniness, right? Like, the thing that I like about Cam's overwhelming cockiness and arrogance is that it's actually who Cam is. He can't hide it, nor can he run from it. That's who that guy is. And what I want more than anything is honesty, right? Randy Moss, that's Randy. Trey Cash, homie, like, that's him.
I absolutely hate this, like, mentality that we have that is, like, causing players to feel like they have to be more quiet and calm to have our respect, regardless of how they perform on the field, which is what they're getting paid to do. And, like, I remember seeing an interview with, like, a Seattle receiver or a Seattle player a couple of years ago, and, like, they had some general comment that was like, Russell Wilson is like a completely different person to us. And it's like, we've made it to where he is the most boring person anyone could interview because he feels like he has to be and is being rewarded for that.
Yeah, no, that's the situation that we've set up. And what it has done is make situations where people like Russell Wilson, they're frauds. Russell Wilson is a fraud. I don't have any trouble saying this on the air. I think Russell Wilson is a fraud and a phony, but it's not his fault. He is rewarded handsomely for being a fraud, which is to say, when I stand in front of the camera and I stand in front of a microphone, I say all the nice, pleasant things and all the things that you want me to say. My thing is, then don't say anything. You're not saying anything that means anything. Why? If you say the stuff because people want you to say it, you don't mean any of it. So then why say it? Everything that comes out of your mouth after that is not a lie. I'm not going to say he's lying when he talks to the media, but it's some neutered version of the truth. And that's less fun. And that's less interesting. And I don't know about you. I'm here for interesting. That's what I got to this business for. I'm here for interesting. That's why I'm a sports fan. I'm here for interesting. And then we set up a situation where athletes are perpetually, basically, demanded to be boring. And the athletes that are quiet by nature, those are the people we want everyone to be like.
Absolutely. Like, I'm certain Russell Wilson fears how quickly, like, most media would turn on him if he was ever, like, he had an MVP-like performance, which he tends to with that team, and then he was like, instead of saying, oh, it was a team win, or it was God, no, that was me. I was the one who did all this running and all of this throwing. I should deserve to have some respect for what I've done that none of you could do, and how quickly people would turn on him for that. And maybe they would.
Oh, they absolutely would turn on him for that. And by the way, if Russell Wilson, really quick, because we got to go to break, but like if Russell Wilson were Richard Sherman, we'd kill him. Like you couldn't stand that guy. You'd kill him, even if he won a Super Bowl already. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose here on all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. Chattanooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Police in East Richmond need your help tracking down a man who went missing. Lorenzo DeAndre Howard, who's 27, hasn't been heard from since December the 26th. He was last known to be walking down Germantown Road and Brainerd Road when he disappeared. His photo's on our Facebook page. Weather on the East Coast has gotten so bad that flights from Chattanooga to Newark and New York had to be canceled. The Chattanooga Airport releasing a statement saying, as always, we urge you to check with your air carrier before arriving at the Chattanooga Airport for your travels. It's possible there could be more delays moving forward. Tom Rowland has been the mayor of Cleveland for 26 years, and he announced he's retiring and endorsing Representative Ken Brooks to succeed him. Representative Brooks announcing he will not be seeking re-election, which opens up a new seat in the House for District 24. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Oh man, rush. I've got to get stuff for the party. Where can I go? It's going to give me a wide selection of beer, wines, and spirits. Oh, I got it. I'll go to Harry's Wine and Spirits, Signal Mountain. Maybe East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd. I could go to Riley's Wines and Spirits in Nixon. Wow, look at the huge selection in here. Look at these great prices. Amazing. Oh yeah, I'm going to find something for my lady too. I'm going to make this party a success.
Make your party a success when you stop in at Harry's Wine and Spirits in Signal Mountain, East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd, and Riley's Wine and Spirits in Hickson. An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with a deadly virus. Your only hope? There, in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison, you have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room, game, and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga.
If your computer is running slow, if you have viruses, if someone called you asking to get into your computer, just say no. If a screen pops up on your computer saying your data is going to be deleted and you have to call this number, don't call it. You need to call Affordable Computers. You wouldn't invite a stranger to come into your house to look at all your books and records. So why would you invite someone to look at your records on your computer? With one wrong click of the mouse, you could be allowing access into your entire system. At Affordable Computers, we can stop them now. Don't be fooled by scammers and pop-ups that tell you you must call this number or your hard drive is going to be deleted. You need to call Affordable Computers. Call Affordable Computers now. Microsoft is never going to call you. Microsoft is never going to ask you to call them. If you see that on your screen, you are being scammed. Stop and call Affordable Computers. 423-499-1975. That's 423-499-1975. In Fort Oglethorpe, call 706-858-5888. That's 706-858-5888. Affordable Computers.
95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies continue through your nighttime. Cold overnight, lows mid and upper 20s. Now for your Wednesday, look for some sunshine with a breeze out the north, though. Like cold highs up around 40 with more mainly dry and cold weather expected through Friday. Celebrate the new year with Dixieland Fireworks. Locally owned with the largest selection around. A Black Cat dealer with the lowest prices in Dixie. Dixieland Fireworks just off 575 on Ringgold Road, East Ridge. And I'm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Pat Report.
Broadcasting live to over 1 million souls in Chattanooga, the Tennessee Valley, and beyond on frequency modulation 92.7. Sean Hannity, 25,000 watts on digital FM 95.3 HD4. CBS Radio News. NASCAR, Bloomberg Markets, David Tulis, streaming strong at NoogaRadio.com. Live on YouTube and Facebook. Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7. Chattanooga Radio.
You're listening to all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com 92.7 FM. This is Bucky Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. We just had a very long-winded discussion about Randy Moss in the Hall of Fame and Terrell Owens in the Hall of Fame, and possibly even Cam Newton in the Hall of Fame. And this is not, I mean, there are racial undertones to all of this conversation, and I feel like I'm not one to shy away from racial conversation. But I feel like I don't even have to go there for this. Like, I really feel like it's not about, well, it's not about race. Race is involved. I'm not even going to lie. I think race is involved in this, but I don't believe that this is purely an issue of race. I also believe that this is an issue of arrogance, and we strongly punish athletes who are arrogant in a way that we do not punish athletes who are. And why does it matter to you how arrogant another grown person is who you don't know, don't speak to, will never meet? In their personal lives, when they are being cocky and they are being arrogant, why does that bother you so much? I really want to know. Our phone number is 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949. I seriously want to know. Why does it bother you so much? Right? Like, people are arrogant sometimes. That's some people. And some people aren't. And some people are loud. And some people are quiet. So, like, seriously, some people are also tall and some people are also short. Is that really the worst thing on earth? I legitimately want to know, because I hear people say stuff like that all the time. Like, oh, he's just so arrogant. I can't stand him. To the point where I have heard arrogance ascribed to people who have never been arrogant. And I'll give you an example. Tom Brady. People have ascribed arrogance to Tom Brady all the time. But when I hear Tom Brady talk, I don't hear arrogance. At least not public arrogance. Obviously, we saw that one email that he wrote about outlasting Peyton and being a far better quarterback. But yeah, I mean, if you're arrogant to yourself, I mean, come on now. There's got to be some limit to this thing, right? We also police the arrogance that you have in between emails to other people. That's where we're going with this.
It was so wrong what we did to Tom Brady. It was just like, let's just air out everything. We're trying to figure out if you knew that footballs were deflated. Here's your life for the world.
Yeah, and then people want to know, like, oh yeah, he's so guilty because he broke his phone. No, that's why he broke his phone. So that you don't have these leaks of, oh, look, you know, here's Tom Brady's whatever. I mean, I don't know what skeletons are in Tom Brady's closet, but everybody's got them. And the richer and more famous you are, no matter how minor the skeletons in your closet might be, quite frankly, the fact remains that it's going to be news for somebody somewhere. So yeah, no, Tom Brady doesn't want those problems, but we still push that in his life. So yeah, Tom Brady destroyed his phone for that reason. I honestly think that Tom Brady's fine. You didn't do anything wrong. But the arrogance thing is always the thing that has bothered me, because I don't want your arrogance or your humility if it is fake, right? People who fake humble, I hate that in large part because it's boring. It's boring. Russell Wilson faking humility is boring. J.J. Watt faking humility is boring. I don't want to see it. Kevin Durant, the best thing that Kevin Durant ever did was to stop it with the humble act. Right? Like, people dislike Kevin Durant now. Oh, I love Kevin Durant now. Kevin Durant was always one of my favorite basketball players. He's my favorite basketball player in the whole league right now.
The point in Kevin Durant's career at which, as a person, I could relate to him the least was when he was like, I'm the servant.
Yeah, when Kevin Durant nicknamed himself the servant as an act of branding, I was like, the servant? I mean, unless it's the whole thing is like, I'm going to be serving you, but even that's very corny and a dated reference. I mean, don't do that. Don't do that. But Kevin Durant nicknaming himself the servant is probably the most unrelatable he's ever been. I agree with that, Kate. That's I don't know if he's ever been more unrelatable than that. I feel like that's it. That's the moment right there. He nicknamed himself this. Like, when you nickname yourself something cool, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna nickname myself X Falcon. Yeah,
playing amazingly at the pro level, and then he does that. Like, the average person, they do anything, and someone's like, good job. They're not like, oh, you know, with the team and God, thank you for respecting that thing that I did.
And Kevin Durant already had like 3 nicknames, cool nicknames. Kevin Durant got to be the Durantula. Kevin Durant got to be the Slim Reaper. And he gets to just go by code KD if he wants to. I mean, come on, man. He already had 3 nicknames. You got to go with the servants?
Yeah, great players never get a good nickname in their entire life or any at all.
Like, I had 3. He had 3. Like, and if you're going to nickname yourself, at least go the Kobe route and nickname yourself something cool. Yeah, I'm the Black Mamba. Try that. Yeah, okay, well, fair enough. You know, it's corny that you nicknamed yourself. It's still, I don't forgive you for that. The world may have let Kobe Bryant get away with that. I have not. But at least he nicknamed himself something cool. The Servant? Okay. No one needs that side tangent there. I'm just pointing out a fact. So let's get to some of these playoff picks because we've got the NFL coming up this weekend. I will not be on the air tomorrow, but we've got the NFL coming up this weekend and some playoff matchups around the corner. And I think I'm going to save Titans and Chiefs for last probably, even though they're one of the earlier games. Gotta get to my schedule here.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, Saturday night is Tennessee and Kansas City. Let's skip that one for now and jump straight to Atlanta and LA. The Rams.
8:15 on Saturday.
On NBC, 5.5-point favorites are the Rams over the Falcons, and this one is going to be an interesting game. I'm very fascinated in this because the Falcons were in the playoffs last year, obviously went to the Super Bowl where they fell apart and lost. But now they're back in the postseason against, quite frankly, all odds. I would never have suspected in 1,000 years that this was going to be the way that went down. But here's Atlanta again. They played worse, but they played good enough to win, as opposed to the Rams, who have been playing absolutely inspirational football. And I think that there's an interesting matchup here. You've got Atlanta, the team that is playing poorly by playoff standards, but now have the experience of being in the playoffs and know how it feels to not win. Versus the Rams, who are playing well, but have no playoff experience whatsoever. Head coach has not been in the playoffs as a head coach. This is his first year, Sean McVay. You've got Todd Gurley, never been in the playoffs. Jared Goff, never been in the playoffs. Aaron Donald, never been in the playoffs. Like most of this team is, Cooper Kupp, rookie, never been in the playoffs. Like most of this team and all the pieces that they rely on the most have never been in the postseason. So you've got experience versus inexperience, but also good versus relatively bad. This is a tough one, Cade. What
Absolutely. You got? I think it's going to be close. Personally, I'm going to go with the Rams because, first of all, it's going to be a home game for them, which will help them get used to the playoffs in an environment that they know, that they've been comfortable in, that they've succeeded in all season. And secondly, the Falcons have struggled against teams like the Saints and the Panthers because of just the offensive capabilities.
Yeah, they're having more trouble generating points this year as opposed to last year, for sure.
Absolutely. And the Rams have a very good defense, which is going to make it hard for them because they've struggled against talented passing defenses, even the Saints, who aren't the most talented passing defense but have a couple good players, have been able to greatly limit their passing attack. And I think the Rams are pretty good at passing defense and better at running defense, and also have a great variety of talent at the receiving position and an MVP caliber running back.
Yeah, I see that analysis, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to go completely homer, though, and pick the Falcons. And then I'm going to make up nonsense reasons to justify why I'm doing so, which is this. I really do think that the experience is going to play a part here because there's going to reach a point in this game where things start to go south. And someone is going to have to step up and figure this out. And I feel like Atlanta, not wanting to relive that again, probably isn't safe to do so. I don't think that Atlanta also gets enough credit for how well they can play offensively. The Rams defense is tough. But I will say this about Atlanta's defense as far as pass defense goes. They're pretty tough too. They're good at getting pressure on quarterbacks and forcing quarterbacks to make plays or to make decisions that are not good decisions. So I'm going to go with Atlanta for that reason. I don't like their run defense as much as I like LA's, but I still think that Atlanta is capable of hanging in this game offensively. And when you start to get to the money downs, and when you start to get to late in the game, who's going to make the play? I think Atlanta, because of their playoff experience, specifically that loss in the Super Bowl, I think that they're going to have learned those lessons. So I'm going to go with the Falcons as a completely homerific pick. On Sunday, Jacksonville plays Buffalo. Jacksonville hosting Buffalo. Buffalo, not in the playoffs since 1997. So thrilled were the Buffalo Bills. They sent a letter of thanks to the Cincinnati Bengals, who needed to win on Sunday in order for the Bills to have a chance to make it to the playoffs. The Bengals beat the Ravens. The Bills won their game and have been permitted entrance into the hallowed postseason. Complete rubbish for the last however many weeks. And Blake Bortles has regressed to the Blake Bortles we all know and love. So, we got 9-point favorites, by the way, the Jags over the Bills.
You see, obviously the Jags are going to be favorites because of their defense. And I guess I should dislike the Jags more for being the people that took the Ravens playoff spot, the same way I should have not liked them the whole season for being like a game behind us or ahead of us the whole time.
Right.
But actually, I quite like the Bills, and it's a bold-ish move, I guess, but having seen the Jaguars struggle offensively these last couple of weeks and not be able to generate a particularly good rushing attack as a result of not being able to generate anything of a passing attack, and lose a game to a Tennessee Titans team that couldn't really, scored 15 points and couldn't get any touchdowns. I think the Bills can do what the Titans can do better than the Titans can do it, and catch interceptions that Blake Bortles throws them. So I'm going to go with the 9-point underdogs, the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills. Okay, well, first off, since we're talking about gambling, and I have not yet descended into gambling degeneracy, but just you wait, that'll happen in my life, I'm sure. I think that the Bills will cover the spread. I don't think the Bills win this football game, though. The reason why I don't is this. So we saw the Titans play super conservative against the Jacksonville Jaguars, not capable of actually getting into the end zone and just looking more or less miserable offensively. But their super conservative nature made it as such that they didn't really turn the ball over. And outside of that one fumble where Derrick Henry ran into Marcus Mariota on a counter, Derrick Henry ran the wrong way and ran into Mariota and the ball popped out. Outside of that, Tennessee didn't really turn the ball over, and the conservative nature of their game doesn't really allow for that. Buffalo's not as conservative. They take more risks, which means they turn the ball over. Now, it doesn't matter against most teams, but Jacksonville's defense can score. And so if Jacksonville's defense gets one or two looks at a Bills turnover, points are going on the board. Now, the question is, do I trust Buffalo's offense to outscore Jacksonville's defense? I'm not worried about Blake Bortles. Anything you get from him is icing on a cake. Can I trust the defense to outscore the Bills offensively? I feel like I can. I've seen it depends on what game we get from Tyrod Taylor. I've seen Tyrod Taylor have some games where he's just throwing the ball all over the place, and sometimes it lands with his team, and sometimes it lands with the other team. No one can actually ever be sure. And then but it's not like they're starting Nathan Peterman, so there's that, I suppose.
I think I picked the Bills just because I saw the Titans sort of attempt to run at them, and I feel like the Bills have a better chance at actually succeeding with the rushing attack. Yep. And also with Tyrod Taylor being able to run as well, that was a big thing that Marcus Mariota was able to exploit in key circumstances. So I think that gives them a chance.
No, I mean, I like your pick. I'm having trouble picking against this Jacksonville defense, against the Bills team that is capable of giving them the ball. Now, obviously, if Buffalo doesn't turn the ball over, then I'm wrong. Right? Because that's really what it is. I can't trust that Jacksonville offense to do anything. I mean, we talk about it looking completely and totally inept. Can't trust Jacksonville's offense at all. So, yeah, Buffalo protects the football. They keep it close. Like a low-scoring game will always, always, always favor you if you're playing Jacksonville. Because it means you're not turning over the ball, and it means the defense is not giving Blake Bortles and Leonard Fournette the ball with good field position. So I will say that. I just feel like Buffalo's going to give them a couple. But that's neither here nor there, because the last game of that night, Carolina and New Orleans, in an NFC South battle in the first round, I feel like of all the teams that got the better end of the stick here, I feel like Atlanta got away from one, not having to play any of their NFC South friends, shall we say, because Carolina and New Orleans, that's nothing there is fun. And they're super familiar with how to beat you if you're Atlanta. Atlanta's got a lot of exploitable holes, and Carolina and New Orleans know those holes. So Atlanta kind of dodging a bullet by playing LA in a sort of way. Now, Carolina and New Orleans have had a little bit of reinforcements arrive for their running games this season, with McCaffrey joining Carolina and opening a lot of stuff in their running game, and Alvin Kamara joining Mark Ingram and opening up a lot of stuff in their running game, which in turn has benefited Cam in Carolina and benefited Drew Brees in New Orleans. And we've got about 3 minutes. We're going to have to do this one a little bit quicker to get back to Tennessee, Kansas City in time. But we got.
You see, in my mind, this is really the closest of them all to have to pick.
Right. But this is, I 100% agree.
But I think I'm going to go with the Saints just because they've been able to beat the Panthers twice so far this year. And they have an offense that, in both rushing and passing, has never really shown a sign of, like, being stopped to the point of it costing them. And their defense is at least good enough to, like, keep the game close to where their offense can, like, explode out and score.
I 100% agree with you. Vegas also agrees with you. 7-point favorites are the Saints over Carolina. Carolina's got big play potential, but New Orleans is the more consistent offense, and I love the way that Alvin Kamara has been able to make big plays for this football team. And so I'm not going to turn away from Alvin Kamara, and it's very hard for me to pick against Drew Brees just anytime he's in the playoffs. So we're going to go with the Saints. Jumping back to the very first game of this weekend, actually, because it's the most localist of all the games. Tennessee versus Kansas City. The Titans versus the Chiefs. Visiting the Chiefs in Kansas City. Vegas has the Chiefs at 8 points. We saw with our own eyes what the Titans are capable of. And the Chiefs have been putting up big points, although they've been up and down all year. We got.
I'm going to go with Kansas City here because, as you said, we saw what the Titans are capable of and, like, the potential, but we also saw what they do. And what they do is not conducive to being able to score a lot. And that is the name of the game for Kansas City. And the Titans, not a bad defense, but certainly not one that have been winning any accolades or that will be able to stop Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Alex Smith for an entire game.
Right. Like, this is going to be a track meet anytime you play Kansas City. Kansas City is a good-looking football team. You outscore that team if you can't stop them. And I don't see a team that can outscore Kansas City. We were in Nashville last weekend, and I got to see the ineptitude of Mike Mularkey with my own 2 eyes. And absolutely not can I pick the Titans. Absolutely not. And you know me. I will stretch to decent lengths to be a decent homer. But I'm not going to be a complete homer. I'm taking the Chiefs also, minus the points. That's just how this is going to go.
Like, they just have so many ways to score on you. There's a reason why at the beginning of the season they beat the Patriots, and it's not because the Patriots their offense didn't show up, and so they just sat on a huge lead. No, the Patriots, like, they started to come back. They were down by, like, maybe 7 or less, and then the Chiefs just kept scoring and the Patriots couldn't keep up.
Basically, yeah. So we've got about 10 seconds left in the show. Question: Isaiah Thomas, the video tribute for Isaiah Thomas, silly or not silly?
Rather silly, but I guess in a sort of way he helped them a lot, but in large part by going to the Cavaliers in exchange for a better player named Kyrie Irving.
Fair enough. You're listening to All New Nooga Radio at NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. Millennials Talk. Next.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane.